Hello, this is Dr. Sara Ahmed, an internal medicine specialist practicing in the United States with many years of experience in internal medicine. I started a series of videos on health and medical awareness. I began by discussing the urinary system and noticed that people are engaging quite well with this topic, so I decided to continue and cover the rest of the body, discussing each part. I bought this model to help me talk about these topics. This model is really good. Honestly, it clearly shows the anatomical structure of these things. You can use it during explanations to show people what you're talking about. For example, this is the left lung, a part of the left lung. You can take it out and see what's behind it. It's excellent for illustrating the anatomical sections of the body. So this is the right part and this is the left part, right and left, as it faces you. All right. The story behind these videos, this video is going to be a bit long. The videos I usually record directly on TikTok are a bit limited, so I have to speak quickly. I want to do a bit of an introduction on how I will make other videos. First of all, I want to clarify to everyone watching these episodes, the purpose of these episodes is health and medical awareness, meaning there are some common issues that people suffer from continuously or frequently and don't understand well. So we try to simplify this matter so they can understand what's happening to their bodies. And the second thing is that, as we know, my people in Sudan have an issue with access to health and medical services. Therefore, some problems may require seeing a doctor, while others might be less serious and people can handle them in the usual way they deal with their health issues. So they shouldn't worry too much about them. In the coming days or in my upcoming episodes, I will talk about the digestive system. But before I delve into the health issues related to the digestive system, I want people to understand what I mean when I say digestive system. First of all, when I say system, I am talking about a group of organs that work together to perform a specific function. The function of the digestive system is to digest and absorb food so that the body can benefit from it. The food we eat is a complex composition of nutrients that need to be simplified and broken down so that the body can absorb and benefit from them. In their original form, as found in groceries and stores, we cannot benefit from them. The body needs to simplify them into their basic components and absorb them so that the body cells and tissues can utilize them. This process of simplification and absorption is carried out by the digestive system. So what is this digestive system made up of? First of all, to introduce you to this model, it doesn't have a specific gender. This is a detailed plastic model that I will use for explanation. These organs you see here can be taken out and put back in to explain the anatomical structure of the body from the inside. The focus will be on the thoracic and abdominal cavities. Mostly in my talk, I mean. As you noticed, it doesn't have arms or legs, but it has a back part that I can also explain, and there's a part of the head that can also be explained. But the good stuff is in this thoracic and abdominal cavity. So the thoracic cavity is the upper part inside the rib cage. This part is cut, but these are the ribs. The ribs form the rib cage, covering the important organs inside the chest, which are the lungs, right lung, and left lung, and in between is the heart, nestled behind. The left lung is slightly smaller because the heart leans a bit to the left. There are other organs, of course, but these are the well-known ones in the chest. The thoracic cavity is separated from the abdominal cavity by something called the diaphragm. I'll show you later. It will be clearer. The diaphragm is a large, flat muscle. People have seen it in sheep, cows, and such, but it's a flat muscle that separates the chest from the abdomen, okay? The abdomen is the front part, not enclosed by any muscle, no ribs or anything, just the upper part here covered by the ribs. As you can see, the ribs continue down to here, so this part is somewhat covered by the ribs, but generally it's an anterior muscle covering this abdominal cavity. The abdominal cavity contains the majority of what we will discuss regarding the digestive system. The digestive system starts from the mouth and ends at the anus, located at the lower part of the body. It is essentially a connected tube that begins at the mouth, passes through the pharynx, esophagus, which runs entirely through the thoracic cavity, and then the stomach. The stomach connects to the small intestine. There's a part behind the liver. The liver is located in the middle. The small intestine is about 6 feet long. Then we have the large intestine, which starts from the right side here, goes up, crosses the abdomen horizontally, and then goes down on the left side to the rectum. All of this is connected together, okay? There are digestive glands connected to this tube, which secrete substances like enzymes or other materials that aid in the digestion process. The first secretory gland is the pancreas, located behind the stomach. We will learn more about it shortly. The second is the liver. The liver does not secrete enzymes, but produces bile, which has an important digestive function that we will learn about, God willing. So, in general, the digestive system starts from the mouth, the neck, under the chest, and ends at the lower abdomen here. Okay, it's a long tube whose shape changes from part to part, but it's a tube in the end. Okay, now let's start looking at the details. The digestion process begins when you eat a meal through the mouth. From the mouth, it goes to the pharynx, which is the back part of the oral cavity that directly leads to the throat after that, okay? The pharynx is connected to the esophagus, okay? Let me show you. The esophagus is located behind the lungs, almost in the middle, slightly tilted to the left. This is the trachea, which comes from the pharynx. The pharynx opens into the larynx, which is connected to the trachea. The gray part here is the trachea, which goes down and splits into 2 main branches, each going to one of the lungs. By the way, this is the back part of the right lung, and this is the back part of the left lung. Okay, let's move on. The trachea is in front of the esophagus. Look at the esophagus. This tube here is the esophagus. The red tube is the aorta, the largest artery in the body coming out of the heart. The aorta runs alongside the esophagus. Okay, and the trachea is in front of the esophagus, and in front of both is the heart. So the esophagus goes from the pharynx to the stomach. It is just a conduit tube. It doesn't have a digestive function. Its job is to transport. And I want people to remember that the entire digestive system has muscle contractions that we call peristalsis. These peristaltic contractions function to push food forward or downward, actually. So these peristaltic contractions move the food from the pharynx here after we swallow. Once we swallow, the process becomes involuntary and we no longer control it. The body controls it in other ways. This peristaltic movement starts pushing the bolus down. The esophagus, okay, its function is just to transport food. And this esophagus is connected to the stomach. This is the stomach, which is below the diaphragm. This is the stomach, part of the digestive tube, but larger in shape. The stomach is essentially a muscular sac, a real muscular sac connected here to the esophagus, which brings the food from the mouth and the esophagus, and as you can see, the stomach. One of its functions is to mix the food. The peristaltic movement of the esophagus pushes the food down, but the stomach's muscular movement has a bigger role, which is mixing the food like a blender. See what the blender does when you put in a lot of solid and liquid things together. It blends them into something like a smoothie or paste. The stomach does the same thing. One of the very important functions of the stomach is to store food in this part. Gradually, it processes the food before sending it to the duodenum, which is the first part of the small intestine. The duodenum is located here, showing you the beginning of the small intestine. The duodenum's function is to receive secretions from the pancreas and bile from the gallbladder or liver. Okay, so the stomach, as I mentioned, its function is to mix the food. It also has another very important function, which is to mix the food with hydrochloric acid that is secreted from the stomach walls. Okay, the digestive system. The stomach secretes something called hydrochloric acid. The acidity resulting from the secretion of this acid serves to first change the acidity of the incoming food. This change in acidity helps clean the food. Notice that the food you eat might come from the street, meaning it could be contaminated with various things, including bacteria and other substances. So the function of this acidity is to clean the food a bit before it enters the rest of the digestive system. The stomach also secretes some digestive enzymes, but its role in digestion or secretion is not very significant. Digestion starts a bit in the mouth, where the salivary glands secrete some enzymes that help in digestion, but their effect is weak. The main digestion process happens in the small intestine. Digestion and absorption occur there, which is why it is very long. Digestion happens at the beginning and absorption happens at the end. That's why it's so long. The food travels through this tube, and at the beginning it gets mixed with digestive enzymes and broken down, and at the end it gets absorbed, okay? So this is the stomach. As we said, it connects with, yes, let's bring out the liver as well. The liver, as you can see, is located in the upper part of the abdomen on the right side. It has two lobes, a large right lobe and a smaller left lobe. The left lobe sits above the stomach and has an anatomical relationship with it, with the stomach situated underneath. Okay? See this green thing here? This is the gallbladder. You might have seen the gallbladder in sheep and other animals. The gallbladder is a muscular sac whose function is to store bile, not to secrete it. Secretion is done by the liver. The liver's function is to secrete bile, but this sac's function is to store it. It concentrates the bile by absorbing or removing the excess water. That's why, because it's salts mixed with cholesterol and many other substances, this concentration process can eventually result in the formation of gallstones. The concentration of salts increases and the concentration of cholesterol and these things, so it forms a gallstone, which is a very common problem. A very common problem, especially in women, due to hormonal reasons and others. The liver does not secrete enzymes, but secretes bile and stores it here until it is needed. When it is needed, it is released and secreted into a tube. This tube is connected. The duodenum, see this part? It starts here. The duodenum is the part that connects with the stomach. It connects here and it comes from the esophagus. Okay, so the stomach empties its contents into the duodenum, which looks like this. The duodenum wraps around this very important organ, the pancreas. The pancreas is essentially two glands, an endocrine gland and a digestive gland. It has a digestive function and a function related to the endocrine glands. The most important hormone it produces is the well-known insulin hormone for regulating blood sugar. It comes out from here, but this has nothing to do with digestion. It is related to regulating blood sugar. The digestive glands secrete digestive enzymes that break down fats, proteins, and some carbohydrates, releasing them into the digestive system inside the duodenum. The tube that carries these secretions to the duodenum joins with the tube coming from the gallbladder to bring the gallbladder's secretions to the duodenum as well. Both open at the same opening, which is why some pancreatic diseases result from gallbladder problems and gallstones. This is something we can discuss another time, but I want people to make the connection that the pancreas and the gallbladder are sometimes linked. So this is the pancreas. The pancreas, as we said, has two functions, endocrine and digestive gland. It is generally divided into three parts: head, body or corpus, and tail. The tail is very close to this organ, which is the spleen. The spleen is located on the upper left side of the abdomen. The spleen doesn't have a digestive function. Its functions are different. It is not related to digestion, but is anatomically close to the pancreas. Let me show you. This is the duodenum. This is the pancreas, the head of the pancreas, the body of the pancreas, and the tail of the pancreas. And this is the spleen. Okay, all right. After that, I have now reached the back of the abdomen or the abdominal cavity. This is it, the muscles under the back, by the way. Okay, who is present in the background? Our friends, the kidneys, the left kidney, the right kidney, and the left kidney. Okay? And this is it. The abdominal aorta, which descends from here, goes behind the diaphragm. I can't pull it out, but if you notice, it is a muscle, a muscle. It separates the upper part of the body, which is the chest cavity or thoracic cavity, from the abdominal cavity. The aorta comes out from here and extends inside, which we call the abdominal aorta. The abdominal aorta then splits here below when it enters the pelvis. This is roughly the pelvis, okay? The kidneys, and above them are these glands, which we call the adrenal glands. And it is one of the endocrine glands. So this is the duodenum, which is the first part of the small intestine. After that, we move to the rest of the small intestine, which is here. The duodenum connects here and it starts its digestive function. We mentioned that it receives enzymes from the pancreas and its walls secrete digestive enzymes. It also receives bile from the liver and gallbladder, and they all start the process of digestion and absorption. The absorbed nutrients then move into the blood and lymphatic system. Okay, so after digestion and absorption, the food that goes from the mouth, the bite you eat, takes about 72 hours to pass through the entire digestive system, around 2 to 3 days, okay? Unless you have diarrhea or something, which is abnormal, not natural. But if your digestive system is functioning regularly and normally, it takes about 72 hours. All right. The colon or large intestine. Their function is not digestive or absorptive. They don't have a digestive function. Digestion ends in the small intestine. The material that comes out enters here, and the function of the large intestine begins, which is the absorption of fluids and salts. This is so the body doesn't lose fluids and salts, because there are many secretions that occur as food passes through. For example, your food triggers saliva secretion, then stomach secretion. Stomach secretion includes hydrochloric acid and other secretions. Then the small intestine receives secretions from the pancreas and liver, including bile. If I lose all these fluids every time, it would cause an imbalance in the body's hydration and lead to fluid loss. Therefore, the absorption of fluids and salts occurs through the large intestine or colon. People who have had surgeries to remove part of the colon or the entire colon notice that their bowel movements are softer and contain more fluids than usual because the absorption process is incomplete or ineffective. When the material reaches here, the stool becomes solid, containing a small amount of water, allowing it to pass without losing water and salts. These are the general digestion processes. In the next video, I will discuss digestive system diseases or issues such as abdominal pain, indigestion, vomiting, constipation, or diarrhea. I wanted people to understand the structure of the digestive system and how digestion works so that it will be clear to them when I talk about these issues in more detail next time. Thank you.